The xenobiology lecture hall fell silent as Professor Elsa Martinez gestured toward the reinforced containment unit at the center of the amphitheater. Inside, the Vorthon apex predator, a creature that had terrorized 3 star systems, paced with restless energy. Its obsidian scales rippled with bioluminescent patterns, each pulse a warning that had evolved over millions of years to say one thing: death approaches. Bassett Khan, exchange student from Earth, sat in the front row among his Galactic Academy classmates. While the other species, Zenthari with their forearms trembling, Kithri backing toward the exits on their spider-like legs, and even the usually stoic Draknari showing signs of distress through their color-changing skin, Bassett leaned forward with genuine curiosity. The Vorthon apex represents the pinnacle of predatory evolution, Professor Elsa explained, her own hands steady despite being one of the few humans in the galaxy brave enough to study such creatures. Standing 4 meters at the shoulder, equipped with neurotoxic claws, and possessing a bite force that can crush starship hull plating, it has never been successfully tamed or... The magnetic locks failed with a sharp crack. The cage door swung open. For a heartbeat, the universe held its breath. Then the beast exploded into motion, its roar shaking the very foundations of the lecture hall. Students screamed, chairs toppled, and the emergency alarms began their shrill warning. The creature's eyes, 6 of them arranged in predatory perfection, locked onto the nearest target. Bassett. He didn't move. The apex predator charged, covering the distance in 2 massive bounds, its claws extended and venom dripping from razor-sharp fangs. Every instinct hammered into 1,000 different species across the galaxy screamed the same message: run, hide, die in terror. Bassett sat perfectly still, his dark eyes meeting all 6 of the creatures without flinching. The beast skidded to a halt mere inches from his face, its roar dying in its throat. Confusion replaced bloodlust as it tilted its massive head, studying this strange, small biped who showed no fear, no aggression, no submission, emotions it had been engineered by evolution to recognize and exploit. Fascinating, Bassett murmured, slowly reaching into his jacket pocket. The creature's eyes tracked the movement, but still it didn't attack. You're just like the tigers back home. Professor Elsa, who had been reaching for the emergency containment controls, froze. Bassett, don't. But the human had already withdrawn something from his pocket. Not a weapon, not a shield generator, but a simple protein bar, the kind issued to students in their meal packs. He unwrapped it calmly, broke off a piece, and held it out. The Vorthon apex predator, terror of 3 star systems, leaned forward and sniffed. The problem with apex predators, Bassett said conversationally, as if he weren't face to face with a creature that could disintegrate him with a single swipe, is that they're usually just hungry and confused when they're out of their natural environment. He tossed the piece of protein bar to the side. The creature's heads followed the movement, then looked back at him with what could almost be described as disappointment. On Earth we have creatures like this. Not quite as large perhaps, but just as dangerous. We learned long ago that the secret isn't to show fear or try to dominate them. He broke off another piece, this time offering it directly. It's to show respect. The beast sniffed again, then delicately plucked the food from his fingers with surprising gentleness. Professor Elsa watched in stunned silence as her most feared specimen, a creature that had required a full military escort and 3 layers of containment protocols, sat down like a massive, terrifying dog and waited for more treats. How? She whispered. Bassett smiled, scratching behind what he assumed was the creature's ear. The beast leaned into the touch, a rumbling purr replacing its earlier roar. Humans have been living with predators for millions of years, Professor. We learned that most of the time they don't want to fight us any more than we want to fight them. They just want to understand where they stand. Around the lecture hall, students began to cautiously return to their seats. The Zenthari were chittering in amazement, their 4 arms gesticulating wildly. The Kithri approached on delicate legs, their compound eyes wide with wonder. Even the Draknari had shifted to colors indicating fascination rather than fear. Earth humans, one of the Draknari students said, his skin flickering through a spectrum of confused hues, are either the bravest species in the galaxy or the most insane. Bassett chuckled, giving the apex predator another piece of protein bar, maybe both. We had to learn to coexist with creatures like this, or we never would have survived long enough to reach the stars. Every human child grows up knowing that the biggest, Scariest predator usually just wants the same things we do: food, safety, and a little bit of respect. Professor Elsa slowly approached, her scientific mind racing. The behavioral modifications alone. Bassett, do you realize what this means? If humans can naturally interface with apex predators across species lines, the applications for xenobiology, for diplomacy with hostile species, it means, Bassett said, watching as the creature playfully batted at another piece of food, that maybe the galaxy has been overthinking things. Sometimes the scariest monsters just need someone who isn't afraid to treat them like living beings instead of walking nightmares. He stood up, the massive predator watching him with what now seemed like genuine affection. Want to help me get him back in his habitat, Professor? I think he's had enough excitement for one day. As they gently guided the now docile creature back toward its enclosure, using nothing more than protein bars and patient encouragement, the other students watched in amazement. Word would spread throughout the academy within hours. Humans, those strange little bipeds from the outer rim, had once again done the impossible. Not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through something far more dangerous and unpredictable: compassion paired with an absolute refusal to be intimidated by the impossible. The cage door closed with a soft click. Inside, the Vorthon apex predator settled down for a nap, still purring contentedly. Outside, the galaxy had just learned a new lesson about the species called human. They didn't flinch.